We say what's going on, everybody. Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with a Tuesday live stream. We were going to wait for tonight, but at the same time, I know Uncle Lou goes live. I know a lot of different people go live on Tuesdays. You got the ACC show and everything. Big shout out to all of you out there for tuning in today. I love and appreciate all of you. Let me take this down here. And hope you guys like that background too. But today we want to talk about top 10 non quarterback players to watch in the Big Ten. And I think there's a lot of players to watch. I think that there's definitely a lot of hype for the Big Ten this year, especially you got to take into consideration. Now, I did not get looking at my list. I didn't get Washington. I know that. Um, but I have these teams, and I took into consideration. I said, who's going to the draft, right? You take into consideration the top players in the draft, and I think that makes it obvious, right? And we know about the quarterbacks. We want to watch the quarterbacks. We want to watch Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard, Drew Aller from Penn State, of course. You want to watch those guys. That's all we focus on in college football, or mostly what we focus on. I could see how it has improved over the years of getting credit for different positions on the field. But I start with a linebacker, and we'll get to who it is in a second. We'll highlight some of these players' stats from last year. Appreciate you guys watching, by the way. We got 2 watching at the moment. Love and appreciate that. Hit that thumbs up. Show some love for the channel. Hit that subscribe button. We got big things coming to the channel. There's some things that I can mention. There's some things I can't at the moment. It's a surprise or whatever, however you want to look at it. Yeah, I'm converting to Auburn. Anyway, yeah, that's the big announcement. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kidding. But there's big things coming your way. Some things I still don't know about, but we're trying to figure out the college football season, how we want to tackle it, and get you guys content. So I came up with 10 players to watch this year in the Big Ten. I highlight these players. There are some that are going to basically be the best on their team. And their team might be bad or underperform, however you want to look at it. It might look bad for them on the field, but overall, I would say that there are teams that are going to have success this year in the Big Ten. I look at Ohio State, I look at Oregon, I look at Penn State. I even look at the defending champs in Michigan. I know Sharon Morris, the new head coach. Jim Harbaugh's out the door. J.J. McCarthy left. Alex Orji steps up. Michigan's going to have a big year, right? Oregon, USC, Washington could still have a big year, but I just think they take a step back. I think the defending champs of Michigan take a step back. Illinois could maybe step forward, but I don't think they'll be good. I mean, maybe 6 wins is doable. Nebraska could be on the rise right now. This is a great league that we have in the Big Ten for 2024. There's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of talent and competition. A lot of talent and competition. And I look at that and I say, okay, challenge accepted. If I'm a Big Ten team and I'm looking around at the other team, if I'm a Nebraska and I'm looking at the Michigans and Ohio States and the Penn States, I say challenge accepted. Let's try to pull an upset. Let's go. Let's roll. Let's do it. You look at Oregon coming in. Challenge accepted for Dan Lanning. The teams that are going to have to play Oregon. Challenge accepted for those teams. I have not turned in, and I'm going to share this today too. For those that don't know, I have not turned this list of top 10 Big Ten players, non quarterback, by the way, and I might even do something for like quarterback rankings this year. I might look into the quarterbacks of each conference. I have not turned this into an article or a post anywhere. I only have it written out on paper. Without further ado, I will upload it on my new website later on. The first guy that stands out to me in the Big Ten this year is Abdul Carter of Penn State. Linebacker, edge defender. That has been a key go to position for the Nittany Lions. And I think a guy like Abdul Carter could step up to replace guys like Chop Robinson that they had last year that's now gone pro. I think that he could step up in large ways. He had a pick. He had a forced fumble. He's fast off the edge. He had 4.5 sacks last year in 2023, and he pretty much stayed healthy throughout the year and got to see a lot of time on the field. Uh, there's a lot you could say about him. I love his versatility, his schematics, his physicality. I love how he's built. He's going to be a guy to watch. I think all of Penn State's defense going to be something to watch in 2024 for the Big Ten. Up next, go to Oregon. Tez Johnson comes in at number 2 of top 10 Big Ten non quarterback players for 2024. 86 receptions, 1,182 yards, 10 touchdowns in 2023. There's no Bo Nix, but Dylan Gabriel, I would say, can launch that football to a guy like Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson is almost like a Devontae Smith in how he's built. He's got that speed. He's got that toughness in him, that grit, that grind to keep going, keep working on the football field. Tez Johnson's going to be something to watch for Oregon. I would love to see him break out this year, and I think that he can. Again, I mentioned 86 receptions last year. That's a lot. Over 1,000 yards. That's a lot. 10 touchdowns. Could have had more, but at the same time, that's still a good number to have if you're Tez Johnson and you're at a elite offense with Dan Lanning in Oregon. That is amazing. That is amazing. So Tez Johnson at number 2, I think that he could have a breakout year, and I would not be surprised. I'll go ahead and spare you this, but I got Ohio State and Oregon in the Big Ten championship. I think those could be your 2 teams that make a run in the Big Ten this year. I think they're the favorites, and I think this is a year for the favorites. You have some dark horses out there, like a Washington, like a Penn State. You have all of that, right? But those are your 2 teams, and Oregon especially. I think they're ready to take on the challenge of Big Ten football coming into a league that now has 18 teams. So Tez Johnson comes in at number 2 on our list. Quinshaw Judkins of Ohio State, a running back from Ole Miss. He transfers in 1,000+ yards last year, 15 touchdowns. Him and TreVeyon Henderson might be the best duo of running backs in the Big Ten, might be the best duo, period. You could swap it back and forth between him and Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson has been there a while at Ohio State. I do think he gets the nod to begin with, but I think Quinshaw Judkins comes in with a lot of hype, with a lot of potential, and a lot of talent to bring to Columbus, Ohio. And he's going to be a key factor for Will Howard to get this offense going in Columbus this year in 2024. So Quinshaw Judkins at number 3. His speed and power make him electric. I would say he might, I would say the best duo in the Big Ten is with TreVeyon and then, of course, Quinshaw Judkins. So that's what I would say on Quinshaw Judkins. He comes in at number 3. And again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the top 10 non-quarterback players in the Big Ten for 2024. Would love your reaction to this list. in the comments, or if you want to click that StreamYard link and join the channel uh, this afternoon, we'd love to get you on. Where to go next? Will Johnson from Michigan is a corner, MVP on defense for the national title last year. Might be the best defender in the draft upcoming in 2025. He hits hard. He can pick you off. He plays man to man. He also plays zone coverage. He's very lengthy with the football, lengthy on the field. He moves in such a way that you look at him and you say, that's a defender right there, folks. That's a really good player. That's a defender. That's who I want on my team. He's going to be a top 10 draft pick, in my opinion, if not top 15, pending he doesn't get hurt this year. And if he can stay healthy, and if Sherrone Moore and their defense at Michigan have anything to say about it, he could definitely break out even more this year. But Will Johnson, a corner for Michigan, comes in at number 4 on this list. Number 5, and we're doing top 10, by the way, Nick Singleton. Maybe he's a little bit low. I don't know. Something tells me him and Quinshon Judkins will be the top running backs in the Big Ten. You could put them 1A, 1B. You could put them however, but I came up with this list off the top of my head, did some research, obviously, but Nick Singleton comes in at number 5, Penn State running back, 5-star recruit, 8 touchdowns last year, former 5-star. He's great acceleration. The big question for him, and you also have a guy in Kaytron Allen too, so it's kind of a 1-2 punch right there for Drew Allard to work with for Penn State, but has the offensive line improved enough to where you can open up those holes that they could pick up more than maybe 15, 20 yards downfield at minimum? And can you get some big run plays for Penn State against the weaker competition? Obviously, they will. But what about when you play Ohio State? What if you play? I think they get UCLA on the schedule. They open with West Virginia. You're going to play some tough defenses on this schedule for Penn State that you're going to have to run the ball on. I would put Nick Singleton at number 5, but he's definitely one of my favorite players to watch, and I think Penn State could have one of the top offenses, if not the top offense in the Big Ten this year. Number 6, I go to Wisconsin. I look at Jack Nelson, and offensive tackles do not get the love and support that they need. We always look at the talented receivers, we look at the defenders, we look at all that, but an O-line brings it all together on offense. And I think this guy going into the draft and everyone, 6'7", 304 pounds, Jack Nelson of Wisconsin, an offensive tackle. He's the key guy. He could jump up in the 2025 draft class. Most guys have him on day 2 right now, but get him in the weight room, get him out there to protect the quarterback and help boost the offensive production for Wisconsin and Luke Fickell, and he could go a long way of being a hero for that team. Go on defense, go back to Ohio State, which we've already mentioned. One other player we mentioned, Quinshon Judkins. Go to the defensive side of the ball with JT Tuimoloau is a defensive tackle, 5 sacks in 2023. He's fast. He's highly recruited. 38 tackles last year. He's 6'4", 270. He's a former 5-star recruit. I think he's been at Ohio State for since 2021, and he's been there his whole college career too. So it's not like he really transferred in there, but he kind of went around the world in terms of recruiting and everything. I think he flipped from a few teams, but he ended up at Ohio State. Highly talented recruit on defense, very fast, can get through the blocks, get to the quarterback, strip the ball, hit you in the mouth hard. JT Tuimoloau is him, and I think he's going to be a key part of Ohio State's success defensively in 2024. So I got him at number 7. Turn the page here real quick. Go to Iowa, who is known for defense. Xavier Nwakpa is a safety. He's a perfect size at 6'2", 210 pounds, 42 tackles last year. Could step up with Cooper DeJean gone, and I've seen him play. He is very fast and versatile. He might win the 40-yard dash in a year or so at the combine. He just might. So I got Xavier Nwakpa from Iowa as a safety defensive back for the Hawkeyes, and Kirk Ferentz. Number 9, Colston Loveland. Now this guy, Colston Loveland of Michigan, people, listen up. If you don't have him on your draft board and you're an NFL scout or recruiting guy, you're making a huge mistake. Colston Loveland, right here, led in receiving yards in the Natty against Washington, 3 receptions, 64 yards, 4 touchdowns last year. Great blocker, 6'5", 245, number 17 on most draft boards. And I think that's a little low. I would put him top 15. Come on, bump him up a spot or two. He's good. He's going to be the key weapon for Michigan's offense, and Alex Orji and Sherrod Moore and everybody in Michigan, right? Everyone has a big house. He's going to be the key guy. He's going to be the key target. Colston Loveland, know the name. Listen up. Michigan ain't going down too far, but I'm going to tell you who's going up this year is Colston Loveland at tight end. Promise you. I promise you. Donovan Edwards, we stick to Michigan. Behind Corum, he had 119 carries, 497 yards, 5 touchdowns, a running back last year, 104 yards in the Natty with 2 touchdowns. He will lead alongside Colston Loveland, of course. Donovan Edwards going to be that key guy for Sherrod Moore's offense. I love this list. Top 10 non-quarterback players to watch in the Big Ten. Again, we go back here, and I read you this list. Abdul Carter of Penn State, a linebacker. Taz Johnson of Oregon, a wide receiver. Quinshon Judkins, Ohio State running back. Will Johnson, a Michigan corner. Jack Nelson, Wisconsin offensive tackle. JT Tuimoloau, Ohio State defensive tackle. Xavier Nwakpa, Iowa safety. Colston Loveland, Michigan. And Donovan Edwards, Michigan. Tight end and running back, respectively, for those last two. I named one, 3 players for the defending national champs who lost their head coach, who lost their quarterback, who lost their top running back. I named you 3 returning starters that could be impact players. So this whole idea that Michigan's going to fall off and go back to mediocrity because they lost Jim Harbaugh, I don't think that's going to happen. I've heard a few people say that, but I don't even know if they believe that. Don't be surprised. Now, I don't think Michigan's making the Big Ten championship. I don't know if I'm going to put them in my 12-team playoff. But don't be surprised if they make it. Don't be surprised. They're good. They got a lot of talent coming back. These guys want to prove everybody wrong that they could go back to back like Georgia did. They could win it again. Win another championship. Michigan wants to prove all the naysayers wrong. So, anyway, we got someone in the back room. Dominic, what's up, buddy?
It is.
You there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Awesome.
What you got for us today, man?
Well, top 10 non-QB players to watch in the Big Ten, huh? Ooh, that is a tough one right there.
Yeah, it is tough. I made the list. I don't know how much you've been watching of it, but I started with Abdul Carter from Penn State. He was a linebacker. I went through some Ohio State guys, and I ended with Donovan Edwards of Michigan at number 10 for the running back position. So
Ooh,
I got guys from Ohio State, and yeah.
Ooh, Donovan Edwards, eh? Mm, mm. That's definitely one guy I'm going to keep an eye on throughout the season. I mean, he's definitely been a beast out there, if you ask me. He has been just consistent on and off the field. He's really been absolute powerhouse for that team.
Yeah, he was definitely a factor in winning the title last year for sure. I know it was mostly Blake Corum, but you look at Donovan Edwards and how they utilized him. He got more than enough playing time, even with Blake Corum as a starter.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. He's definitely going to be one to watch, especially keeping an eye on to see if Michigan can go back to back, kind of like how Georgia did. But it's going to be
Yeah,
tough to see if Donovan Edwards can pull off the Michigan, the Big Blue, going back to back. We'll see if he can make that team go back to back. You never know; it could be possible.
it could be, especially with the 12-team playoff. I do think Michigan definitely tries to get in there, but I don't think they're up at the top to get a first round bye. Um, I think that they could host one in the big house, which would be huge to boost them to the next round. But obviously, that depends on who they play. They they got to play their cards right to go back to back. But you got to think if Jim Harbaugh was still the coach, I would say it's possible. Sharon Moore, I'm not trying to downgrade him. I don't think that he's the coach to come in and win a title right away. But down the road, he could.
Yeah, yeah. You never know that he could down the road he could be a future national champion with the Big Blue. You never know. But getting into the Ohio State guy you just brought up a moment ago, who was it?
Uh, I had a couple of them, but I did mention the running back Judkins, and then JT Tui Malawau, who's a defensive tackle.
Yeah,
Which one?
Junkins. Yeah, I wanted to talk about him. Oh man, he was an absolute beast out there for OSU last year. He was just so consistent, kind of like how Donovan Edwards was.
Yeah, yeah, he was a beast. He was actually, he transferred from Ole Miss, but I think he was with Ole Miss last year. But either way, he was still really, really good in the SEC. It's going to
Oh yeah.
be for offense. I think he's going well. Here's the debate: is he going to a better offense with Ohio State, or is he making a mistake leaving Lane Kiffin behind? Because I would say with Jackson Dart and company over at Ole Miss, I think he's making a mistake by leaving there, and I'm curious as to why he would leave because he was their go-to running back. So I don't know. With Jackson Dart and company, I think Ole Miss would be a better fit. I think it was the right fit for him, and I think he made the wrong decision transferring. But obviously, we don't know what happened behind the scenes as to what led to transferring. But I still think he'd be really, really good for Will Howard and the Buckeyes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like you said, Ballard, I honestly agree with what you said. It was a mistake leaving Ole Miss and transferring to OSU. I definitely feel like it was a mistake. But like you said, we don't know what happened behind the scenes, but I agree that was kind of a mistake transferring from Ole Miss to the Buckeyes. That was kind of a bad move on his part, if you ask me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
How's your team's Virginia? How are they doing right now?
Uh, we're not doing too shabby. My hopes are not too high for my boys this year. I don't think we're gonna make a bowl game this year, but I think we'll do okay.
I think y'all do okay too. I do like Tony Elliott as the coach, but I think your recruiting's up to a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's those small steps, but you're far from being like at the top of the ACC and everything.
Oh
But
yeah.
a bowl game, you could probably reach a bowl game. I just haven't really looked at the schedule, so I don't know how you would get 6 wins. We could pull it up real quick if you want to, but
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, let me see. Um,
Yep.
Richmond, probably a win. Wake Forest on the road. Yeah, that's almost a coin flip because Wake Forest has fallen off a bit. It's almost a
Yeah,
coin
Wake
flip
Forest is
there.
falling off a bit, so I think we take them down.
So you give them 2 wins there. I would go Wake Forest for right now, but I would come back to that game later on. Maryland,
Mm.
Talia's actually gone, so that's interesting there. I don't know what to make
Yeah,
of them.
honestly, that's a big
Coastal,
loss for Maryland. That's a big loss for them.
I'll tell you the obvious losses first off, and that would give me the at most. I think you are definitely losing to Louisville, Clemson on the road, North Carolina. Those are 3. At Notre Dame is a loss. That's 4. Pitt on the road, I like Pitt better. That's 5. I could, and some of those are in a row, but I mean, if I give you those losses that are definite, that's 7-5. That gets you in a bowl game.
Yeah, yeah, it
Notre
does.
Dame, Virginia Tech late in the year in Blacksburg. I don't know what to make of the Hokies, honestly. I really don't.
And we're at home against SMU. Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one
SMU
right
is a
there.
good team, but I think some of these new ACC teams are gonna get a wake up call. Honestly, you could lose that SMU
Kind of like
game.
SMU, for example.
Yeah, you could lose that game, but I'm gonna give you the win right now.
Ooh. I mean, uh,
So
I mean, yeah, no doubt about it. But yep, that's pretty much it.
yeah, you can hang out if you want to, man. We don't really have anyone else in the back room at the moment. We got people watching though, so click that link. We'd love to get you
All
on.
right.
What other teams are you looking forward to this year?
Ooh, what other teams am I looking forward to this year? I mean, there's one team I'm really looking forward to this year, and that would be who was I gonna say? Oh, uh, West Virginia.
West Virginia still in the Big 12. We looked at their schedule at one point with Joey on a stream a few weeks ago, but let me pull it up again because they open up with Penn State
Ooh, Penn
at
State,
home.
huh?
At home, that will be a tone setter. At least you would
Mm,
think, unless it's just one of those upsets. I think Penn State's going to win that game, but I think they could play it really close. I think that they beat Albany, hit on the road in the backyard brawl.
ooh.
Never know, but I like Pitt there. So
I
I
mean,
have
I think
them
we can agree
one
the
and two.
backyard brawl is unpredictable every year. I think we can agree on that.
I think it. I would vote to put it on rivalry weekend, but of course they're playing Texas Tech. Why? Why are they playing Texas Tech on rivalry weekend? Why not Pitt? I mean, who does Pitt play on rivalry weekend? Seriously, let me see this. Is if this is some joke for Pitt?
Who?
Let me see
Oh
this.
my goodness! If this is some sort of
They
joke right
play
now.
at Boston College.
Oh my goodness!
That backyard brawl needs to replace both of those. I'm sorry. That needs to be on rivalry weekend because it is a big rivalry. Unless there's some story why they have it week 2 or 3 in September, someone explained that to me. Otherwise, I would vote to put that on rivalry weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you got a bunch of good games on rivalry, a bunch of games on rivalry weekend that I love, like the Red River rivalry, the Iron Bowl with your team at Bama.
Uh-huh. Well, the you mentioned the Red River game. That's sometime in October, but they all bring it back Texas A&M.
Oh, really?
The Lone Star Showdown will be on November 30th.
Ooh.
So I'm looking forward to it. That's a game I miss.
Uh, yeah. Also, another team I'm gonna be keeping a close eye on is LSU. considering with their big loss to Jaden Daniels in the draft, how do you think they'll do?
I think they'll do okay, but I think they take some steps back. They might even stay where they were. Garrett Nussmeyer, good quarterback. But this game right here, look at their schedule. I love looking at schedules too, by the way. That game against USC to open the season will say everything you need to know. Because both of those teams, Garrett Nussmeyer, and then you'll have Malachi Nelson or Miller Moss, whoever it is, for USC to replace Caleb Williams. I mean, think about it. These two teams lost 1 and 2 to the draft. Got to replace your quarterbacks. Questions on defense for both teams. That Sunday night game is going to be special.
Yeah, not to mention it's that the home of the Raiders. Speaking of which,
Yeah, no, Las Vegas. Yeah,
ooh,
Nichols.
UCLA. Ooh, that'll be a good
Nichols
one.
is a win. Yeah, that'll be a good one. Nichols is a win at South Carolina. Don't sleep on it. UCLA, South Alabama, win. UCLA, I don't know. I would give it to LSU because it's at home, but that could go either way. Ole Miss, loss. Arkansas, win. Texas A&M, Mike Elko, I liked what he said at media days and everything. Thought he said a lot of great things. He's done good in recruiting and all that. Transfer portal. I think A&M's better. Circle that game there because I don't know. But the bye week, they could beat Alabama just because there are some questions with Kalen DeBoer. But I'm going to take my Crimson Tide anyway. At Florida, that could be tricky. Vandy, and then they close out the season at home with Oklahoma.
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
I mean, we all know the game against Bama and LSU is going to be. It's always unpredictable between Bama and LSU, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's been so many overtimes and game winning drives that you just never know what you're getting.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, you never know what could happen. College football is always unpredictable every year. I mean, with this new 12-team playoff, ooh, it's going to be a lot more different this year.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of people, including myself, thinking that Oregon will probably not make the playoffs. What do you think of that?
Who?
The Ducks.
Oregon missing the playoffs. Oh. Only if they don't make the Big Ten title. And the only way I see that is if someone like Penn State has something to say, if Michigan proves some doubters wrong, and that's it. I mean, I see those two teams plus Ohio State as those three teams outside of Oregon that could make the Big Ten title.
I like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of keeping some doubters quiet, TCU. I think they'll definitely keep the doubters quiet this year. You think they got a chance?
Probably not at the playoffs, but I mean they went 5-7 last year after getting blown out by Georgia. I would say they take a step forward and make a bowl. I would say that.
Yeah, I think they'll make a bowl game.
Because I like Sonny Dykes. He's a good head coach. You open at Stanford, LIU. That's a win. UCF is not a guaranteed win, but it's a night game at home on September 14th. SMU on the road could be tough. Kansas on the road could be tough. Houston. It gets harder as the year goes on, but I could see 6 wins.
Yeah.
Not easy though.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, we'll just see how TCU does, if they make a bowl game or not.
Yeah.
Whew. I mean, oh, another team I was wanting to speak about, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. All right, I'll pull them up. Still in the Big 12.
Yep.
The home of Pat Mahomes, of course. He used to go there before he got drafted.
Yep.
Um, let's see what they got this year. What? Okay, how many wins do you think they get? And we'll look at the schedule. Go ahead and name how many wins out of 12 games.
I'm gonna say probably 8.
8-4. That could be doable, but we'll see what they got. Abilene Christian win. Washington State could go either way, but I think they're a better team. I'll give them a win there, but close. Because it is on the road at night.
Yeah.
So that's 2. North Texas win. Arizona State win. Cincinnati win. All those at home, that's 5. At Arizona, I'm going to say a loss.
Yeah.
Off week, Baylor, I don't know what to make of them this year, honestly, other than they returned some good production. But you got to see it on the field. It's at home. That could be your 6th win. At TCU could be a loss. At Iowa State could be a loss as well. It could go either way, but let's say they lose those. You got Colorado. I expect big things from Colorado this year.
After
You're
letting go
stuck
of
at 5,
Coach Prime,
huh?
after they let go of their one of their coaches, they let go of one of their coaches. I think they did.
They might have. They still got Prime, but and they got
Oh,
Shadur Sanders and company. So
yeah, I heard they just got
Oklahoma,
Sanders.
I know these two are lost. I'm really stuck on that Colorado game, but I could still see 6 wins for Tech. Huh.
Mm. Yeah, I could probably see that. Honestly, 6 wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that Colorado game is gonna be one to watch.
Let's see. Yeah. I don't
Also,
know.
I'm curious to hear what are your how do you think your Alabama Crimson Tide will do this year? What are your thoughts?
Minimum of 9 wins, max of 11. They're going to drop a game somewhere. And if they did only drop one game, it would be Georgia. I personally have them. I think I predicted 9-3, and that was right after Saban retired, and I had no idea what was going to happen. But I could put them at 10-2, and I would say Georgia, and then probably Tennessee on the road or Oklahoma on the road, one of those 2 games. But I think they lose to Georgia at home because I just think, even with Milroe and company, like I just think Georgia's on a mission this year. I think they're going to be better, and I don't think that DeBoer has enough to get past Kirby Smart. So, but I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, Yeah, Kirby Smart is, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in college football. I mean, he's with UGA of all teams, and he's just such a talented coach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, come
I
on.
mean, you never know what he could do. He could have a trick or two up his sleeve later on in the year.
Yeah. Hey, Dominic, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. It sounds like my grandmother got home, so I do have to go, but thanks for coming on and talking college football.
No problem, man. See ya.
Thanks. All right, we're going to get out of here. I gave my list of top 10 non quarterbacks in the Big Ten. We'll have to do this for other conferences. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this back. Who you got in your top 10? I guess I got to go help with groceries. So I love you guys. We'll see you. Ballard Sports Media, checking out. Peace.